that little kid crazy. And that little kid did the Martin Lawrence, took the clothes off and ran out into the street and all of this, which you know they say artists do. When they go through that one thing. Yeah, man, that's how artists go crazy.
Told us who he is. I'ma introduce him again. It's the man Jerome Childish. Last time you probably seen him was when he was a childhood superstar, hanging with some of the biggest stars in the game. You know, Puff Daddy, 112, Mace, all of those greats from Bad Boys. He was signed to Bad Boy Records as a teenager. Well, younger than a teenager.
It's how he died. It's called the boiled egg test. If you take a boiled egg, a raw boiled egg, have those guys put their pants down and bend over and they stick it. The eggs break. They say they're not ready yet. They ain't
Said, did Diddy stay in touch with you as a mentor afterwards, or even now?
No. Like you said, they tread lightly me there as a child. Now my dad, you don't mess with somebody's child. That's all.
MarkCurry's comments about the horrific experiences former Bad Boy artist Lil Jerome endured at Diddy's hands have resurfaced, revealing one of the most disturbing stories in the music industry. For some reason, Lil Jerome's story has largely gone unnoticed, but with the recent allegations against Diddy regarding the victimization of young male artists, including Justin Bieber, the conversation is reigniting around Lil Jerome. He signed with Diddy's label before his teenage years. And now, as Diddy faces a wave of new lawsuits, attorney Tony Busby has disclosed that the youngest accuser is just 9 years old. This revelation has led fans to speculate that this young victim could be Lil Jerome, especially since Busby noted that the alleged crimes occurred between 1991 and 2024.
The victims when the conduct occurred. It's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct.
Since Lil Jerome reportedly signed his contract with Diddy around the age of 9, some are speculating that he might be one of the accusers suing Diddy. However, the focus should be on the heartbreaking and horrifying details of Lil Jerome's life. According to MarkCurry, Diddy did something to Lil Jerome that was so brutal it drove him to the brink of madness. Jerome himself has shared that he experienced a nervous breakdown at just 14 years old. This story is profoundly disturbing and deserves to be heard, as there may be many other victims who have been silenced and forgotten, much like Jerome Childers.
He went out to the street speaking in tongues, so you'd be like, not only is he out in the street naked, he's speaking in tongues. I mean, something else got a hold of this man.
Lil Jerome, born Stanley Jerome Childers in Akron, Ohio, showed an early interest in singing and began performing with his sister's band. They recorded demos with a local musician who had connections to Uptown Records, where Diddy was an intern before becoming a talent manager. This musician shared the demos with friends in New York, eventually leading them to Diddy. After seeing a videotape of Jerome's performance, Diddy arranged for him, along with his parents and sister, to fly to New York for an audition. Diddy was so impressed that he signed Jerome on the spot. There's been conflicting information about Jerome's age when he signed with Diddy, with some sources claiming he was 11 or 12. However, Jerome later confirmed in an interview on Bad Boy blog that he was actually only 9 at the time. He stated, "I was about 9 and a half. Jerome's father moved to New York with him and enrolled him in a school for kids in show business, even quitting his job to manage Jerome." However, reports suggest that Jerome's father wasn't very hands-on, and Jerome was often left alone with Diddy in the studio. Lil Jerome made his debut on the compilation album Nothing But the Hotness in 1998, collaborating with well-known artists and producers like Kelly Price, Mario Winans, Rodney Darkchild Jerkins, Faith Evans, and Heavy D. He also contributed to the soundtrack for the cult film Belly, covering Stevie Wonder's classic Never Dreamed You'd Leave in Summer in 1998. Jerome released the single Too Old For Me featuring Diddy, which was included in the Bad Boy Greatest Hits Volume 1 compilation. The music video features Diddy giving Lil Jerome dating advice.
See, when I was your age, yeah, when I was 11, I used to have a crush on this girl at 15, and I never got up enough nerve to sing that to her. She never even knew I liked her. to this day, I still think about it. So, I don't think you should pass up the opportunity. You should holler. I don't know how you feel. Like, do your thing.
In the video, Lil Jerome is shown singing to an adult woman, which is already unsettling, but it pales in comparison to the allegations surrounding Diddy and Lil Jerome. Before diving into those claims, it's important to highlight that Lil Jerome suffered a nervous breakdown just before he left Bad Boy at the age of 13. In that same interview with Bad Boy Blog, Jerome was asked why he left the label so quickly, and he explained, "Well, it's just a mixture of the growing pains and the pressure of the music business. I had a nervous breakdown, and it was in Puffy's best interest to not keep the project." According to Jerome, he began experiencing vocal issues during puberty and was eventually diagnosed with reflux disease. Lil Jerome stated, "The crazy thing was that the time when I started going through puberty and then my voice started acting up, I didn't have a normal voice change. Once my voice started to change, it didn't change normally. I was going through reflux disease. Also, so you know, there would come times when I would try to hit notes and nothing come out." According to Lil Jerome, this was driving the label crazy because they didn't know what was going on at the time. "We first thought it was the voice change, but we realized it wasn't the voice change." Lil Jerome said, "I had actually gone through the voice change already. They thought it was allergies, and then after they realized it wasn't that, they finally realized it was reflux disease." However, Lil Jerome also hinted that he began experiencing emotional difficulties. He said it was hard to deal with, that the voice change, plus mentally I started becoming emotionally different. You know, sometimes when you go through puberty, your emotions start to get out of whack too. And then on top of that, at that time that I was going through those changes, that's when everything started to speed up in the music business, because I was about to release my album, so you know, the schedules of studio time and photo shoots started to go back to back, and like I said, the pressure of that and the growing pains, they bore down on me and I had a breakdown. Now, this is where the story takes a dark turn. So there's this article titled "A Keen Wonder" that was originally published on January 14, 1999 in Cleveland Scene, and the article says Shay Puffy Combs Jerome Childers to be the cuddly mascot of hip-hop. The article also mentions how after Diddy flew out Lil Jerome and his family to New York, he would take Jerome to different industry parties where he mingled with Jay-Z, Mariah Carey, Timberland, and Clive Davis. Another red flag is that the article notes how, after Lil Jerome signed with Diddy, there were suddenly conflicting reports in the media regarding his age, as if someone was attempting to conceal just how young he truly was. The article states, "Already Jerome's age is becoming elastic. By different accounts, Jerome is 11, 12, or 13, and in the 6th or 7th grade. Yes, star bios are notorious for shaving off the years, for making the rags ragger, the riches richer. Journalists, our sloppy edges were meant to be rounded." The article also mentions how Lil Jerome got a glimpse of the high life after attending one of Diddy's parties. Lil Jerome said, "Right afterwards I came home and it was so boring, because you got all that excitement and then afterwards it goes way down. It makes you want to get more and more." This brings us to the most disturbing part of the story. An interview with former Bad Boy artist MarkCurry has surfaced, where he discusses what happened to Lil Jerome during his nervous breakdown. Mark spoke out in December 2023, shortly after Cassie's explosive lawsuit triggered a wave of allegations. In an interview with Goats, he revealed some seriously unsettling details about Lil Jerome's time at Bad Boy. According to Mark, Lil Jerome didn't just experience a typical nervous breakdown, he actually ran out of Diddy's studio completely naked and was speaking in tongues. Mark explained that Diddy had made Lil Jerome sing about kissing a girl, which, given his young age, led to the breakdown. However, Mark later acknowledged that this incident of Lil Jerome fleeing the studio might have been triggered by something deeper.
So one kid, his name is Jerome, Lil Jerome, Childers. He's a gospel dude, and he had a real crazy voice. He was a kid, like 11 years old, 10 or something like that. And then they took one of his songs that he knew how to sing real good in church, and they changed it to a song about him kissing a girl for the first time. He didn't really feel it. He didn't really feel that. He too young to understand what it's like kissing a girl and y'all telling him to say it like this. And they drove that little kid crazy. And that little kid did the Martin Lawrence, took the clothes off and ran out into the street and all of this, which you know they say artists do. When they go through that one thing. Yeah, man, that's how artists go crazy. The first thing they do is take their clothes off and run out into the street.
I heard about the whole Martin thing, and the whole industry thing kind of made him go crazy.
He ain't the first one that did that. A lot of them do it. And then he went out to the street speaking in tongues. So you'd be like, not only is he out in the street naked, he's speaking in tongues. I mean, something else got a hold of this man. It's like you kind of like, it's almost like making you sing a song about kissing a girl. You never kissed a girl before. You'd be like, how can I really sing this song and really love it?
Right.
However, many people in the comments expressed that both Mark and the interviewer demonstrated ignorance by treating this incident as if it were a laughing matter. One fan commented, "That baby didn't just take his clothes off and run in the street. That's not the truth. They were in there doing unspeakable acts to that baby, a bunch of grown disgusting demons. This just off. And the laughing was disgusting." And another person wrote, "This is the second story that Mark has told that. Really makes me look at him with the side eye. It's not funny that a child experienced that, like it wasn't funny about women having the juice for their drinks tampered with, or another almost drinking Diddy's. It's not funny, and for any grown, very grown man to think it is by laughing, it makes me think that he was part of the madness as well, but too broke and not relevant to be judged as Diddy laugh, now cry later. The wheels of justice stay turning and karma makes her rounds eventually." Returning to Lil Jerome, after leaving Bad Boy, he never returned to music. According to an article published in the Canton Repository, he now works as an Alzheimer's disease activist, dedicating much of his time to caring for family members affected by the condition. Article says that Jerome's father has a mild cognitive impairment, and one of his father's brothers has cognitive impairment and Parkinson's disease. Jerome shared with the outlet, "My dad's brother passed away from Lewy body dementia, and his other brother has Parkinson's. My mother is showing signs of it, and my mother's stepfather has it as well. Additionally, my mother's friend is caring for an aunt who has it." Along with a touch of schizophrenia regarding the new lawsuit against Diddy filed by a 9-year-old accuser represented by Tony Busby, there is still no official confirmation that this is Lil Jerome. However, fans are hopeful that Lil Jerome will eventually receive justice, along with other young people whom Diddy allegedly victimized. Reports suggest that there could be many more victims coming forward in the coming months.
News right now related to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Major new allegations today of sexual assault and exploitation by Combs. For the first time, we are hearing about victims who say they were minors when they were allegedly assaulted by the music star. The youngest allegedly just 9 years old.
So who knows what's going on upstairs in the basement with the cameras? What's going on?
There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Diddy could be facing life in prison based on the latest developments. It turns out he didn't just involve adults in his illicit activities, there were minors as well, and they're all grown up now, ready to hold the former music mogul accountable for his actions. Frankly, it's about time, as what Diddy did to these young individuals is absolutely despicable. The youngest of them was just 9 years old at the time of the incidents. Moreover, the feds are prepared to reveal even more disturbing details, as they have over 3,000 victims lined up. Thanks to these testimonies, they now have evidence that other celebrities were involved, and they intend to ensure that those individuals face consequences for aiding Diddy in his depraved actions. What evidence have the feds uncovered, and who are these other celebrities involved? Here's everything we know.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the
Diddy's
world.
misconduct has been further exposed, revealing just how troubling his actions truly are. During a press conference on October 1st, attorney Tony Busby, accompanied by co-counsel Andrew Van Arsdale, made shocking allegations against the former music mogul. Busby revealed that his law firm has been preparing multiple civil lawsuits against Diddy, with claims ranging from mistreatment and fraud to battery involving minors. What's particularly disturbing is that Busby stated his firm has received calls from 3,285 individuals, all of whom reported being traumatized by Diddy at some point in their lives. Instead of turning these individuals away, Busby's firm has listened to their accounts and verified the stories of 120 victims so far, a number expected to grow. Among these victims, 60 are men and 60 are women, indicating that Diddy had no particular preference. There had been rumors about Diddy specifically targeting Black individuals, but that doesn't appear to be the case as actions have affected a wide range of communities. Of the plaintiffs, 62% are African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian, representing over 25 different states, with the majority hailing from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. And most importantly, according to Busby, these incidents span from 1991 to 2024. However, the most chilling detail is that 5 of the victims were minors at the time of the incidents.
When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
What's troubling is that the number of calls could keep rising. Reports indicate that over 12,000 calls were logged in just 24 hours on the hotline established for victims to come forward following Busby's press conference. Given the volume of cases, his firm is working diligently to ensure they address each one. They have more than 100 people dedicated to the hotline. Busby shared with Urban Hollywood, "We've received 12,000 calls in about 24 hours, so our Herculean task is to sift through each one to identify victims and witnesses and gather evidence." He also mentioned that a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of the Houston Police Department has been brought in to help corroborate the victims' accounts.
Probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which, based on our research, is known as a horse tranquilizer.
As for why these victims are speaking out now, legal experts suggest that Diddy's indictment may have triggered a shift. With the former music mogul behind bars, many individuals might finally feel safe enough to share their stories and seek justice for themselves and others.
Stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times, it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack.
Another reason these victims may be coming forward now is that authorities are finally paying attention, which wasn't the case years ago when these incidents occurred. According to attorney Tony Busby, many of these victims faced indifference when they approached police or hospital staff with their stories. At that time, Diddy had connections that allowed him to manipulate investigations, and in some instances, he would threaten victims to keep them from speaking out.
Comes out after the indictment, after the arrest. What do you make of the timing?
I think the timing is not perfect. So a lot of people don't come forward right away because for a number of reasons. And when you do this in this manner after the publicity that the indictment and the arrest have received, a lot of these survivors, this is really kind of top of mind for them right now. And so having this happen right now, it's kind of allowing them that safety really, and having people that have kind of tried to push this away to think about maybe I should help others. And so I think that's really kind of, some of the more significant parts of why you do this.
According to Busby, 55% of these victims have filed reports, and those reports will now serve as evidence. However, a key question remains: if Diddy mistreated these individuals, why wasn't he charged with those crimes in the indictment? Were the federal authorities unaware of the allegations, or did they find insufficient credible evidence? Legal experts note that this is a developing situation. The reality is, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. The feds may be conducting their own investigation into these charges and could pursue another indictment once they have a solid case.
Is you have people that don't have any power or influence that are confronted with power and influence and have not been able to break through that until more recently.
Here's where it gets really unsettling. A 6-year-old is now speaking up. Back in 1991, Justin Lofsky attended a Diddy party in the Hamptons on July 3rd. Now 30 years old, he was just a child at the time, able to go to the barbecue event because his dad worked as a photographer, David Allen. Although Justin did not become one of Diddy's victims, he recalls witnessing some unusual happenings. Initially, he was excited to see all the A-listers at the party and even took a picture with Diddy. However, as he noticed the lack of other children around, an uncomfortable feeling began to creep in. He shared his thoughts with the Post. "I remember a lot of, and a bunch of in the pool, and around the pool I actually wanted to get in anytime we went anywhere with the pool I wanted to swim. I didn't know if blanks were a good thing or a bad thing, but I hoped to jump in. He also said I don't look like I have a normal smile in the pic. Referring to the photos he took at the event, meanwhile, Maya Lovsky, his mother, told the Post there were bottles everywhere and naked women. I wasn't sure if this was appropriate or normal. I wondered about how kids were allowed into the party to begin with. Naturally, people might wonder why Justin didn't witness the disturbing activities. It's important to understand that Diddy didn't allow just anyone to attend those events. He hosted these more public, tame parties for the cameras, while the troubling incidents occurred in private backroom gatherings that only his closest associates were aware of.
That evidence still might be being collected. There could be that grand jury could still be sitting and collecting evidence and investigating this right now. There could be superseding indictments that come about. I think that we can't really make any assumptions based upon the indictment that we currently have. I think that, the credibility of those claims, a criminal case and a civil case, as you know, are very different in terms of burden of proof. In a criminal case, you have the higher standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. On the other hand, on the civil case, you have just preponderance of the evidence, which is just more likely true than not true. If you believe one side a little bit more than the other, then that side wins. So I think that there's also that. And with minor claims, they're particularly tricky because minors' memories are not as good. And when you're talking about adding, being drugged potentially to the mix, that could even make it more complicated in terms of proving these minors' claims. And something that I encounter frequently in my practice is that sometimes minors will just say, I don't know, if they just don't want to talk about something. They have very distinct ways of protecting themselves. So it's a lot more difficult to work with minors, and it takes a little bit longer to build those cases. So I wouldn't say we're going to rule that out. There might not be charges with minors, but right now, that's just what we're working on.
Diddy has a lot to answer for, and he's not alone. Other celebrities are implicated as well. During the press conference, Busby revealed that Diddy wasn't the only one named in these lawsuits. There were others who not only witnessed his depraved actions but also found enjoyment in them. This is precisely why Busby is determined to hold them accountable, stating, "The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already, but because of the nature of this case, we are going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. The names will shock you, and honestly, fans believe Tony over the years. There have been several names tied to Diddy, and even more who attended his parties, including Aretha Franklin, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, Sarah Jessica Parker, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ashton Kutcher, and others. And a lot of these folks have been awfully silent ever since the accusations came to light." As for how Tony plans to expose these alleged A-listers, he won't be filing a class action lawsuit. Instead, all 120 victims will have individual cases, and he will reveal names case by case, allowing the public to see who was present during the incidents and what disturbing actions they were involved in. Busby intends to file multiple civil lawsuits across various states in the next 30 days. Additionally, according to the Texas lawyers' press conference, many of these incidents took place at well-known venues and the homes of prominent celebrities. Busby plans to pursue accountability from them as well for enabling Diddy to commit these heinous acts under their roofs.
A Diddy party, and then a after dark Diddy party, and then a after dark Diddy party freak off. Yeah. Because I've said it, I've been to a Diddy party, I can't wait to see the videos. No, can't wait. In Miami, there's Star Island, there's Hibiscus Island, there's Palm Island. You get invited to these things, these parties. Dude, 300 people are in line to try to get into these parties. But there's a big difference between getting into the island, getting into the house, and then going upstairs to the freak off. Yeah. I'm gonna stay outside. Yeah. So who knows what's going on?
As for Diddy, one of his attorneys, Erica Wolf, dismissed the allegations as a money grab, stating that he cannot respond to every baseless claim in what she described as a reckless media circus. She emphasized that Mr. Combs categorically denies any claims of mistreatment, including those involving minors, and he looks forward to proving his innocence in court, where the truth will be established based on evidence, not speculation. However, Diddy's lawyers may want to reconsider that position. Busby at the press conference appeared confident and asserted that his firm has corroborated the allegations with substantial evidence, including videos, pictures, text messages, police reports, and hospital records. This means Diddy's legal team could face serious challenges once Busby begins filing these lawsuits. Until now, Diddy's defense has relied on the argument that the encounters were consensual. However, if Busby can prove the presence of minors at these parties, Diddy's entire defense may crumble. Moreover, Diddy's legal team should not underestimate Busby, as he has experience with high-profile cases. Recently, he pursued NFL player Deshaun Watson for mistreatment. In 2022, Watson faced accusations from over 24 women, and although 2 Texas grand juries declined to file criminal charges, he received an 11-game suspension. Now, Busby is filing another case on behalf of one of his victims, demonstrating his familiarity with complex cases. He has a strategic plan to ensure Diddy is held accountable for his actions, and has even connected some of his plaintiffs with federal authorities to assist in building a case against Diddy on that front as well.
Only include individuals, but would also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused, and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs, you should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it.
It's safe to say Diddy is facing serious consequences. As for fans, they're patiently awaiting the truth to emerge in a court of law. One commenter noted, "I'm hoping to hear what they say during trial. I will not pass full judgment now, especially with all these new stories." Meanwhile, another person commented, "Glad he is finally locked up. All the victims need justice, compensation, and healing." What are your thoughts on the situation? Do you believe there's any truth to the stories emerging? How do you think this will affect Diddy's ongoing criminal case? Share your views in the comments section below.